everyone. Welcome to the January 25th edition of Community and Economic Development Team's CED Office Hour Live, where we come online and just connect people, resources, and of course, educational information on all things CED. And before we get started, I always like to give the definition of community and economic development. As you know, it is three words, but they're three mighty words, they're three big words. Just like diversity, it touches on everything. And you can ask different people what CED is and get three different answers. So I always like to start with what the foundation is, the working definition that we use here at Central State University and Extension. And so community economic development, and we always give it an acronym, CED, is the profession of looking at how we live, work, play, thrive, and navigate through all those spaces. And it's a spectrum of services. So on one end is the infrastructure, which deals with things like affordable housing, building public spaces, parks, walkways, bikeways, highways, common things, stadiums, right? Even just general private houses, office buildings, all that infrastructure. On the other end is the people, the building of capital, human capital. So that's professional development, increasing self-sufficiency, things, programming, workforce development, personal development, removing barriers to entry so that people can work and play and all those kind of things. And then the connecting part between that are all of us, right? The agencies and organizations and businesses that help connect that to and make it a formal ecosystem. And so as CED professionals, by it being such a interdisciplinary profession, um, you based on your skill set and professional background, you look at that whole system and say, this is how I can plug and play and improve that system, share information. So today, we're going to be focusing in the entrepreneur ecosystem and with business development. And today, excuse me, today we're going to be focusing on building banking relationships and just talking about some tools and things that you should be preparing for if you need to get financing, particularly spending a little bit more time on the smaller loans like $50,000 and under, and how those differ from your larger loans. And this is important to manage expectations, know the why, because banks are nosy, as you will find out. Banks are very, very nosy, but they're lending money, and there's a lot of regulations they have to go by. So don't take that personal or offensive. They're doing their due diligence as they are charged to do. And if you were coming in and somebody's coming to you to ask money, you want to know how they're gonna pay it back. You know how are you credit worthy and all those kind of things. Are you trustworthy? Do you have the information that we need if we need to contact you? All those kind of things. So there are nuances to that, and we're going to be talking about that today. And before we get started, we'll kind of do a round of introductions. Um, our Community and Economic Development Team, our CED team, serves the whole state of Ohio. I'm Amber Twitty. I am based in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I pretty much serve my core area is the southern third of the state, basically from greater Cincinnati through greater Portsmouth. So I go from the western border to the eastern border all along the river. And then I will turn it over to Ambrose, who is here with us today from our team.
Uh, Good afternoon. My name is Ambrose Moses. I'm an educator with the Community and Economic Development team. My territory is statewide. In terms of wherever they need me, I will go to provide service. Um, and this topic that we have today is something that's sort of near and dear to my heart. I know how important it is for businesses and individuals even to have and to understand that banking relationship. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. I spoke a little bit with our guest before we got started, so I'm looking forward to the information we're going to receive and the dialogue that we're going to have.
And so, without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Johnny Reynolds. He is a manager at First Financial Bank, which is a regional bank, and he'll kind of talk about their structure and what a regional bank is versus your big national banks and the nuances with that and how it affects their services. But we want to turn it over to you so you can kind of start out just how you got into banking in the first place, and what is your role at First Financial, and how does that impact small businesses in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, guys. Again, my name is Johnny Reynolds. I am the financial center manager at the First Financial Bank in Kentwood. Kind of same thing as Ambrose. I cover the whole state, so really whatever it is, I do it. But I've been in the financial sector for about 7, 8 years now. I did come from somewhere else. I used to work for Fifth Third Bank right out of college. That's really where I, sharpened my teeth and everything like that in the finance world. But graduated from UC, majored in sports administration. Worked for a couple sports teams, but really it's all very analytical. So the whole business side of the sports field. So I took stats and did all that stuff. But what got me into finance was my uncle has worked for in the finance sector for a while, and I was just looking for something new. I wanted something new. What I was doing currently it wasn't rewarding enough, and it was just lack of better words, it just became too easy. So I decided I was gonna step into the financial world. I started out with Fifth Third, and they showed me a lot, and it allowed me to see that just how I can help everybody. So whether it's on the consumer side or the business side, I have the power to make people's dreams come true. So whether it's something that you're looking to do for your house, or you want to get a new location for your business or your company, or add on something that I can help with in any way, shape, or form, I have the power to do that. With First Financial now, though, which is something that we love our small businesses, and that's something that we try to help you guys out as much as possible, any way, again, shape, or form that we can. So we're a little bit more on the eager side to get out there and get our name in the community. As again, we are the oldest bank in Cincinnati, and we are still a regional bank, so we are still giving you that neighborhood bank feel comparatively to like a national chain bank that has their national chapter. We want to make sure that we are taking care of our clients to where we were born and raised here in Cincinnati. So overall, that's a little bit of background on me. I kind of know I can start going into some stuff if that's okay with you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
Well, yes, but I did have a question. You said something
Oh,
really
please, yeah.
interesting. You said the oldest bank in Cincinnati. Can you tell a little bit about that? I didn't know that.
So honestly, I didn't know
I
that
didn't know
either
that
until I
either.
started working at First Financial. It was one of those things. So again, when I came over here, we've been here for 160 years. We've done a lot of acquisitions and a lot of building within Cincinnati, but when we started out, we were, again, just this local community bank. We were nobody, and what really set us apart was the fact that what we're willing to do for our clients. Not to talk bad about anybody in any way, shape, or form, but I know a lot of people within the financial industry and that work for other banks and stuff like that, and they're a little bit jealous of what we do at First Financial and what we can accomplish. So that's what set us apart, and that's why we might not be the biggest bank in the world, but our biggest thing is we still want that community feel. We want to make sure that everybody knows, like, when you walk in here, you know the financial center manager, all of my bankers, we know you by name. We could talk about your dog, your daughter, whatever, is going on in your life, and it still feels like, hey, you're just not going into the bank just to do business necessarily. Like, yeah, you might be there to make a deposit or withdrawal, whatever it is, but it feels like we are a part of the community, not just a sore thumb that sticks out that everybody knows, oh, that's just the bank. Right. So with that mindset, and when they took that, and this is why we thrived for so long, and why we specialize, especially in that small business. So in Cincinnati, we have these calls every Tuesday. It's the Retail 20 calls, which is some of the higher ups in the company, and they talk directly to us. The CEO is on this call. He knows me by name. Okay, I've never had that before in my life. He comes into the branch. I've talked to him on his personal cell phone. All these big people, and there's not one person that doesn't know you or I don't know them. I got an email the other day. It was from somebody in HR regarding my benefits and stuff like that. When I was at Fifth Third, I had no idea who was emailing me. The minute I got that email, and I was like, oh yeah, I talk to her all the time. It's just one of those
Wow.
feelings. So we do the exact same thing with our community to make sure you know us exactly by name, to the point like we live by that within our own employees too. So we value everything. We value everything that matters, and that's our clients and our employees here as well. So
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Actually, oddly enough, yeah. And that is funny because I had no idea until I started at First Financial, and they're like, "Well, we're the oldest bank in Cincinnati." And I'm like, "Yeah, who doesn't know that, right? Yeah, I knew that. Come on, why do you think I'm working here?" So yeah, I got a sticker on my laptop to make sure I can quote that stat too. 160 years in service, so just in case. But yes. So overall, again, my purpose here today is really just to try to educate you guys as much as possible on, again, your bank and, and building your business and what it takes. So, oddly enough, again, as long as I've been in finance, and I've learned a lot, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot. But I used to be a small business owner myself, oddly enough. So, I have a little bit more of an educated insight exactly what you guys go through, how hard it is to get something started up off the ground, especially when you have no idea what to do. So, and or where to begin. I was 18. Oddly enough, I ran a painting company. It was all an exterior painting company, and it all started off of a bet. We were talking one day about what we could do to pay for college, and my buddy said, "Oh, I said it'd be nice to be able to run your own company, work for yourself. No more, high school jobs or anything like that." And he told me I could never run my own company, and sure enough, I did it. So I ran it for 2 years. I made quite a bit of money doing that. I was very proud of myself, but I was also young, so I spent quite a bit of money. And but it was an overall great experience. I've learned so much. So I have a very unique insight again on what you guys go through. So overall, and what I did when I started, and even for my clients today, is again, you know, uh, as long as you know what you want to do or how you want to go about it. Okay, like this, I want to do this exactly. Next step is to pick your financial center, to pick your bank. There are a lot of different banks out there, but with First Financial, our biggest thing, like I said, is small business. So when you decide to go and say, okay, I'm going to set this up, first thing you need to do is try to figure out what type of business it is, and then whether it's going to be a corporation, LLC, if it's going to be a sole proprietorship, anything like that. If you're going to do a sole prop, you don't need to register with the state as long as you're using your last name. If it's an LLC or anything like that, obviously, depending on the business, an LLC is going to be a lot better for you because it has that umbrella coverage as a limited liability company. But then you decide, okay, you register with the state, you get an EIN number, and then at that point, you're ready to. And all this is fairly simple. Going to your Secretary of State's website and getting that started, and your EIN takes 5 seconds. I promise. I do it a million times a day. But now you've officially established your business. You have a name, you have a registered name with the state. Now you have an EIN. So what do? You need to go find a bank. At that point, you would come into somebody like me, and we would start that process of opening an account. And it's not just we're not order takers. We do not want to be order takers at First Financial. We want to make sure that we're asking you guys the right questions when it comes to opening this account. I very well could just say, "Oh, you want a business account? Set it up and go about it that way," and just say, "Adios. I'll see you when you come in next." But we're trying to make sure that we develop you in every way, shape, and form. So a lot of people come into my bank, and they again have no idea where to start. So it's my job to again run you through the overall scenarios. Okay, this is what your business is. These are some of the stresses that could come towards it, and this is what we can do and what we can provide for you to kind of negate some of those stresses and stuff like that. So um, again, the next step with doing that is again, depending on what you're going to do, is you need funds. And sometimes you can just start it from what you have. If you don't have those funds and those assets, that's where somebody like myself comes in. Again, the biggest part is to find a bank that you enjoy, and honestly, is to find a bank, somebody like our banker, somebody like myself or one of my employees that you have that relationship with, and building that relationship means everything. Uh, that is something that we are going to call and check up on you guys to make sure that, and this is again with wherever you guys decide where to go, you guys should find somebody that is willing to check up on you, is willing to help you, is going to be there. You don't want to get somebody that's going to be different every time. Like I tell my clients, do not call the client service center, call me. If you cannot get a hold of me, you're going to call this person. There are banks to where they're like, yep, here's the client service number, figure it out. And that's great. And it works. But you still want that personal touch because this is your baby. This is something that you've built from the ground up, and you should be very proud of that. And if that person that you're working with isn't just as proud and excited about this than what you're doing, find somebody else. And that's myself included. If I'm not excited about what you're doing and you don't think I am like, hey, I'm very happy for you, I want you to do as best you can, absolutely go to a different bank. Find somebody that is maybe not as invested as you in this company, but they want to make sure that you do succeed, right? Because nobody's going to be more invested than yourself. But with that being said, so again, you have your business account set up. All you need to do, or even let's roll back a little bit. When you come into me, all I need from you is your registered Secretary of State stuff, okay, which I pull from the website itself. So you don't even have to worry about that. I just technically need your EIN number. That is all. Everything I have to pull the same day. I have to make sure that you are active with the Secretary of State, or in other words, in good standing. And then once that is, it's just an overall conversation about how, or what you're looking to do and what you need. And normally I just let you talk, and then I kind of can pinpoint how I can help you at that point. And it's kind of easy that way. A lot of people are intimidated about this process, and you should not be. We do it every single day. We know exactly what we're talking about. We're not CPAs or anything like that, so we can't advise you on taxes. But we can definitely get you in touch with somebody, whether honestly it's local in the community or within our own company, whatever that is, to help you there as well. But that's honestly it to opening up that account. We do all the heavy lifting for you. So when you walk in, you might be a little nervous on how you go about it, but then when you leave, I promise you are going to be educated way more comparatively to when you came in. But after that, again, you have your account set up. So what do you do and how do you get the ball rolling there? So when it comes to any type of lending, a lot of businesses in general, or a lot of banks in general, like Amber said before, we do employ people that are paid to be paranoid. Okay, they are called underwriters. All right, underwriters, that is their one job, to make sure that, hey, what type of business do you have? What are you going to be doing? What is your gross annual revenue? And again, they look at a lot of different factors. So the main factor that they're going to look at is, at first when you apply, is how long your business has been established for, and your personal credit score. Okay. There is an internal bank score that all banks have, but you starting out there, you're not really going to have an internal bank score. So they can score you off of other things, right? Which is solely now going to be your personal credit score and when you were established. A lot of banks need you to be established for at least, I've heard a year. We're technically 24 months. I know some banks are also 18 months. But with that being said, I have gotten people approved for things and they were just established a month ago. And it's just a matter of, this is what it is. Hey, this is that. What different factors are going to go into this loan to see if the underwriters will approve it. But a lot of times, as long, hey, I've been established for this much, this is my gross annual revenue, let's see what we can do here. At that point, and normally anything under $50,000 and under, documentation is not needed. A lot of banks are like that as well. To an extent, we are particularly like that, but they can still request income documentation. That's not something that they, I never promise that they won't, but operating agreements or anything like that you would need for an LLC potentially, we don't even need. We overall just look at what your business strategy, your operating plan. So like if we need a business plan from you, we can have you write one up. But that's about it that I've ever had underwriters ask from a business. So normally turnaround, I know, and if you guys have applied for like a loan on your personal or the consumer end as well for your own personal use, some loans, depending on if it's a house loan or personal loan or whatever it is, house loans can take up to 30 days. Personal loans can take up a couple weeks, depending on what it is. Business loans, with us at least, take about 48 hours, depending on what we ask you for. The longest I've ever had one go is about a week. But we try to make sure everything is streamlined for you guys, right? We know your time is valuable. So with that time being as valuable as it is, and you just starting a new company, you don't have a whole lot of time to wait around on us to say whether we're going to give you this loan or not. So it's my job to stay up on the underwriters and make sure that they are doing what is right by you, and I am advocating for you as much as I possibly can. And that's basically it for that small business lending, and like the typical types of loan that you are actually going to get. I should bring that up as well. Normally lines of credit or just an actual term loan or an installment loan is what you're going to get. So you're either going to get with a line of credit access to $50,000, if you will, whenever you need it, which means you don't pay anything unless you do draw from that, or you get a lump sum payment or an installment loan, which you're going to have principal and interest payments instead of a line of credit, which is just interest payments at first. That's going to be a lump sum payment of cash. So that is going to be something that whether you use it or not, this is your fixed payment, and this is what you're paying. Lines of credit are a little bit more flexible because they allow you to buy equipment. So they allow you to use them as overdraft protection for your checking account if you wanted to. They allow you to really kind of do whatever you want with it, but it's not a one-shot product. As long as it revolves once a year, a lot of businesses a lot of banks are like that. They make you revolve your line of credit in 1 year. So basically just use it and you'll be fine. And then at that point, you don't have to go asking anybody else for money unless you need more, like an increase or something like that. So whatever you need for your business, I always advise people get it a line of credit. That's what's going to help you out the best, whether you think you need it or not. That is something that is a major, major, major part of owning a business, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Again, I know I work for a company. I don't know what's going to happen. For example, I am at a different branch today because my branch was having technical issues and I had to close down. So I am now had to think on my feet today to figure out how I was going to do this, with making sure all my employees got to work today as well. So they're kind of scattered across Cincinnati right now. But everything is always changing, and especially as a business owner, when you are the boss and it is your baby, there's nobody you can go complain to about this other than yourself. So if you drop the ball, that's on you. This is what's going to suffer. So or if something does happen and now you have to come to me to get those type of funds, it might not be I can give them to you at that point because something did happen. If your personal credit took a hit, whatever it is. So if your credit's good, awesome. We can go ahead and get you applied and see what we say. If it comes back and, hey, I don't have the best credit, even we have people here that will help you rebuild your credit. I can do that personally, but we have specialists here. They're called financial wellness managers for personal use and business use. It's to make to improve your score to, again, if you to meet your lending needs for the future. So lack of better words, we're not just going to say, sorry, you didn't get approved and come back when time comes. No, we're going to make sure we help you every step of the way in any way and shape or form we can. That's mainly it. Let me see, what else can I think? Some of the other stuff. So I get this question a lot. The other thing is about establishing business credit, right? How do you do it? What is business credit, and where do you even begin? Obviously, it's kind of the same concept as when you turned 18 and you decided, hey, I need to go get a credit card and I need to go, or some kind of trade line to establish that I can borrow things and pay it back, right? Again, finances, the landscape has changed quite a bit. Back when I turned 18, I had to go to a random department store. I had to get a credit card that I did not want to buy any of their stuff, and I had to spend money basically to improve my credit. So in my head, I was wasting money on things that I did not need to do this. Nowadays, there are certain things that we have solely that you can use anywhere, or that you're actually paying yourself back in interest to build your credit. So that's for businesses and consumers. With that being said, though, once you to establish that credit, the exact same thing, you're going to have to get a loan, right? So you coming in as a new business owner, right? You're running the ice cream shop down the road. You want to make sure you got to buy equipment for that. You got to get a location, or you found a location, but you need equipment, you need employees, you need to do all these things, right? To do that, you need money. You coming to me asking me for $50,000. Again, but you're a new business. Hey, we've been started around a year now. We decided, or let's say we moved to a new location. Awesome. I'm only going to look at your personal score and your overall gross annual revenue for the previous year or that current year. At that moment, if you do get approved, that first trade line under your new EIN number is what's going to establish your business credit. Okay. Some banks are more, some banks focus on business credit more than they do their personal credit. In my head, business credit, I do believe is very important. But here at First Financial, we go off your personal things, your personal stuff, because your business is, yeah, it might come from your business account that pays back the loan, but you are the one that's paying back the loan. So a lot, and that's why we offer those certain things to build your personal credit as well, to make sure that, like, hey, we can still get this for you in the future. But again, it is still an important thing. So with that business credit score, just like anything else, you're going to start off with a fairly low score. You might be in the 500s, you might be in the low or high fives, mid fives, low sixes, something like that. And all that is that low number. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's just you have a lack of history. Everybody starts off with a lack of history. You have this oddball score. And everybody's going to tell you it's not bad, yet it's not good. It's fine to be there. Okay. It is absolutely fine to be there. And it's probably one of the most frustrating things when you're starting a business is I just want to get lending, and nobody will give me lending because I just started. There are certain startup companies that will give you, like, hey, you're a startup business, you're new, we're going to give you this loan, but it's at an exuberant interest rate, right? Sometimes in the 24% range, which as a business owner, and especially you being new to this, you might not know. I mean, that's high, but you might also think that's normal. All right. Because the person sitting across from you is going to tell you that's normal. And it is not normal. Right? If your credit is that bad and you're getting a 24% interest rate on that amount of money, again, we need to go find another bank. But they have those, right? Because they make it easy. They make it very step-by-step guided on the online process or whatever it is. Literally, it's the exact same thing that somebody at First Financial or some other banks can do for you. But you actually get a live person now. You're not doing it on your own. You're still not having all these unanswered questions. So with that being said, like I said, business credit is easily established once we get you that first trade line, whether that is a line of credit, even potentially on some vendors. So even like if you have a merchant processing, like with our merchant processor and stuff like that, making certain payments and stuff like that, you potentially could build credit there. If you have equipment on loan or anything like that, that gets reported, if you don't pay that back. So that is also something that gets reported if you have rent this equipment for your merchant processor, which all that is, to speak in layman's terms, is just to process credit card and debit card transactions, right? There's little things. It doesn't always have to be a loan. Business credit cards are also a great way that you can build your credit, and it also helps you protect yourself against fraud. Credit cards are probably one of the best things that you could use also as a business owner. I want you to have that line of credit to start off, and I hope to God you don't have to use that line of credit. First Financial would love for you to use that line of credit, but if you don't use the line of credit, that means that you have a solid stream of cash flow off the bat, and you're doing fairly well. So with the credit card, that being said, you're still going to have to buy things and purchase things. And then when you go outside to use your debit card, that's a that's a direct link to your own assets and your money into your account, right? It's our job to protect that. It's our job to educate you to protect that. How do you do that? Is we give you a credit card that has access to our money. So if somebody gets that card and they decide that they're going to swipe it and go on a spending spree, and you think you're not stuck on the hook for it, you are not. They spent our money. They did not spend your money just there, and you're covered up to $50,000 in liability. That's not even us, Visa and MasterCard, which is who we carry, that they will cover you for that. And that's any bank. Okay. Anytime if you decide to get a business, let's say you go to get a business credit card with, let's say Chase, for example. Okay. If you get that business credit card with them and it's a Visa or MasterCard, again, it's the same carryover. It's that liability that you are protected. But what's nice there is you're going to buy equipment with the credit card, you get cash back, you get those points, but you're still covered. So if somebody does swipe that, you just call us and you say, hey, I did not do this. I did not authorize this. We will investigate that. And in the meantime, we will tell you, absolutely, don't worry about it. You are covered. Now, on the other side of that, if you use your debit card and somebody swipes it and takes your money, well, for one, you might not be able to pay your bills because they took a lot of money. And two, it can take up to 180 days sometimes for you to get your money back. And that's honestly just good things to live by on a personal side or a business side. Credit card can save you from that potential future fraud and something that can destroy your business. I've had a lot of clients that unfortunately it had to come to the realization of I really need to think about fraud more because it's happened there. It's just now happening to them. And sometimes we don't think about these things until it does happen to us. Kind of like, well, same thing, with anything that we say it all the time in life. Oh, that happened to so-and-so. Well, that obviously in our head, we think, well, that'll never happen to me. All the time, fraud happens. Millions of dollars, thousands of dollars, whatever you say, or whatever you could think. It's a lot of money that these people can get from you. So, but yes, Amber.
Um, but I had a question. This is a lot of great
It's a
information.
lot.
I was writing down some questions, and then I wait long enough, and you go ahead and you answer that question. So I
Okay.
have a list here of answered questions. But one thing that you made reference to a few times, is a number of times, is the credit score. So what sort of range do you guys does your bank look at
Yeah.
for approval? I know it's not exact, because you said credit score and gross revenue, so it sounds like there's like a combination, a mixture kind of going on there.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. That's a good question. So with that being said, the overall main thing is what you're going to look at is when it comes to your credit score, the minimum score you are going to need to have is, okay, appreciate it. I can't talk. Okay, I appreciate it. Sorry, guys. Again, normal everyday business operations here. My biggest thing though, when it comes to the credit score with us here at First Financial, is the minimum score that we normally require is a 700. That does not mean if you do not have a 700 that you cannot get approved for something, right? Again, to your point, Ambrose, is gross annual revenue and credit score kind of go hand in hand, right? So if you have over a 700 and you're making 250,000 or a lot of money, each year gross annual with your business, whatever you want, you name it, I can probably get you approved for it. Now, let's say you come back in and your score is like something I'm actually going through now. Score came back with a 663, but he makes $600,000 in gross annual revenue. All right. My underwriters come back with me and they say, any other bank that I've worked for, they go, no, sorry, this isn't going to happen, just based on his score alone, which is a very upsetting thing. Now, at this point, though, my underwriters know, hey, the score came back at 663. Obviously, it's below the 700 score, but we know that he has $600,000 in gross annual revenue. We just want to do a cash flow analysis to verify that. And if so, because we take stated income. Again, like I said, $50,000 and below, you could tell me you make $1 million. You don't have to prove it unless my underwriters want you to prove it. That's why I still tell the truth by all means, because that moment you decide to say I make $1 million when it's really 100,000, that's when they're going to ask for those documents. But they will do that cash flow analysis, and if it's absolutely, it's right around that $600,000 mark, well then you're fine. Absolutely, you're good to go, and they might not be able to approve you for the 50, but you should be all set and good to go. So no, absolutely a good question. They do go hand in hand. Again, if you're solid on both the gross annual and the credit score, really don't have to worry about it. But like I said, it's my job to advocate for you. All right. And it's not your job to find these workarounds or to be worried about, well, I don't have this score, or I don't know if I have the gross annual revenue right now. I will never tell you you're going to get declined. I legally can't even tell you you're going to get declined unless you have already been declined and then you come in the next day to apply for that same loan. Then I can tell you, yeah, you're definitely going to get declined. But the only way to ever find out is to apply. Okay. It does not affect your score some crazy amount like everybody does. Believe it or not, getting approved for things actually affects your score more at that moment of approval than it does the denial. Okay. You might get denied for something and drop 2 points. You could get approved for something. For example, me and my wife are getting new windows in our house. I got approved for a loan with First Financial. My score, because I got approved for that loan, my score dropped 26 points. It freaks everybody out. But that being said, give it a month or two and it'll bounce right back. Okay. That's just the game of credit and the scores. I always explain credit to everybody. It's a game that you're playing, but nobody told you the rules to. So good luck winning. And that's my job. That is my job to figure out the ins and outs. So I give you the rule book. I give you the playbook. We go over the strategy and how we're going to do this. As long as you can think of credit as one big game, and how can I play the game better than the rules that they have set out, which again,
Mhm.
also my job, then we're solid. So again, back to
Yeah.
the original statement of building that relationship with your banker is such a huge thing, because when your banker likes you, and you have a great relationship, I will always help out my clients any way that I can, right?
Mhm.
But in good fashion, honey catches more flies with vinegar. So if you're going to build that relationship with your banker and, we really like you, absolutely, we'll go out of our way sometimes to move mountains for you guys. That's why I just had, it's a great
Right.
thing to know your banker. Yeah, absolutely.
So
So,
that's one of the benefits of even having a banker, right? And having that relationship. And I also want to point out, like even during COVID, when the stimulus monies and all that was coming out for the businesses and the business grants were coming out from the government, you had to have, if you didn't have that business relationship with the banker and didn't have your paperwork in order, because the ones that had the relationship had their paperwork in order, were in the queue. So as soon as I opened it up, all the banker had to do is hit send, right? Everybody else missed out. And over half of a lot of businesses across the country, especially African American businesses, closed for good, not temporarily. They've been totally closed, like over 400,000. But those who had those relationships with bankers, and like you said, you work with your clients to make sure that they are building the right way. That here is from a financial standpoint, these are things you need to have in order. So it was an easy transition when the opportunity came and that small window was open. They can capitalize on it. And then it was an extra service that you were able to give because you've been working with them already. So it was a
Yeah.
win-win. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I did have a couple questions. One, when you were talking about opening up an account, one of the things that Ambrose and I and the rest of the CED team does is we say that you need to interview or vet your banker, your lawyer, your CPA, because like as you alluded to, it's a relationship, right? You're kind of married to these people and you're telling them all of your business, right?
yeah.
So you want to make sure that they're serving you the best way you need and helping give some guidance so that you can continue to build your capacity and be sustainable. Um, are there any questions that come to mind that you would like to be asked as if me, the business owner, is coming in to vet you? I,
No,
I
that
feel
is honestly, that's even better. So I appreciate even that. So yes, you are 100% right. You need to vet your bank. Okay. Again, on the personal side or your business side. Okay. And it is also okay to have your personal and business at one bank. All right. It's two separate entities, so don't worry about that. But that's more preference at that point. Some banks do offer benefits for having your business there. You might get more personal benefits because of your business. Your business might benefit from your personal assets already, even though they're separate. That bank is willing to give you, oh yeah, we might give you this business account for free or something like that. But yeah, some of those things like we look for. So when a new business comes in, somebody that has no idea what's going on, those are my favorite, right? Because I can help them out. Now, I am not God's gift to banking. I like to think I am, but I'm not. But I do this every single day. So when somebody comes in and they decide, hey, I want to open this, I am interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing me, right? I want to make sure that again, this is somebody that's going to take this very seriously. This is something they want to do. Because I will still open the account one way or another, but it also changes how I can go about showing you the importance of having this conversation in a relationship. So there's certain things people that I look for, those little tick marks, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they've done their research. This is something that means something to them. Is your checking account free? Okay. The first one, everybody knows there are some checking accounts that have fees. Some accounts that really don't give you any benefits are going to have a fee, but the majority of the fees are going to come from accounts that give you some type of benefit. That being said, when I was with Fifth Third, they had a lot. They had three different business accounts, and they each one of them had a fee. Now you can earn out of those accounts, but uh, as a startup business, it might be $1,500 to earn out of that monthly maintenance fee, but you might not have $1,500. At First Financial, we have a free account. We don't require any minimum deposit. We just need you to put $100 initially into your account just to start the account, if you will. If not, the system closes it out in a couple of weeks and we got to do it all over again. But that is also something I want to make sure that they ask, again, are there any fees on the account? What is the normal? How do you operate this account, or how do you guys what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, oversee the account, if you will. So if they ask me that, another thing is, again, what type of lending options, what other things do you have for my business? They've already thought about that. So again, the ice cream shop down the road that is just starting up. Okay, I want to know, do you have a location for your business? Have you registered with the state? Do you have an EIN number? Okay, you have a location, you've done all that stuff I've asked you. How are you going to accept payments? How does your business operate on a daily basis? Is it just John Doe or Joe Smith, running back and forth, putting ice cream in cones and making everything else in the back? Or do you have some employees? Oh, okay. With that being said, you have employees or you're going to hire them. I actually have a free work life program that is free to you and is just benefits for your employees in the sense of financial wellness, loan discounts, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that I can do. And I could show everybody everything, but that might not be right for your business. Why would I tell you about benefits for your employees when it's just you? If you're running the logistics company out of your basement or whatever it is, there's no point. If you're not going to have to buy equipment, and honestly, you don't have to do any spending, which I don't know how, then maybe you might not need a credit card. You're not doing a whole lot of daily spending. You're more sending wires to these companies across or overseas and stuff like that. Yes, Ambrose, I'm sorry.
Yeah, had a quick question. As it relates to the, you talked about 48 hours for business loan processing.
Yes.
Could you, but you've worked with different banks. That's from the things that we've heard from others, that's a very short, that's like heaven. Because other places are saying it takes several weeks to months to close a loan. Could you maybe sort of speak to that in terms of, is that just for your 50,000 and under, or and how does that compare with other banking institutions?
Yep. So that actually is one of the questions that this is what I like to hear as well when somebody comes in, believe it or not. Normally, a lot of times, yeah, we do have startup businesses, but the biggest thing is when they come over, they're normally leaving a bank. So their biggest thing is, how long does it take for your lending to go through, right? Actually, somebody was leaving from a competitor bank. I won't say that, but they were not happy of the fact that they could not get a credit card, and it had been 90 days already, and which was insane to me. So I had them come over, and they said, if you can get me a proof of this credit card, all of my business accounts, everything that I have from my HVAC company, I will move over. And that's exactly what happened. I got him a credit card that day. Maybe not in his hand, but hey, it's on the way. I got to ship it to you, So, but yes. So with that process, I have Fifth Third was one of those banks as well. It just took a while to get approved. And again, not to speak bad, but I that was not something I ever recommended to my small business clients on the business lending side with them. I always want to make sure that I'm doing right by you guys, and I can go home at night and I can sleep. I have to look myself in the mirror. So I don't work on commission. I could sit here all day long and play on my phone if nobody comes into this branch, and I get paid the exact same. So me helping people, I really find joy in that. And how we know we've done well is through our surveys. You guys mail in, email stuff. We've had people send stuff to the CEO. So with that being said, when you come in and you say, hey, I want to apply for this loan, if you have an established relationship or not, the only thing that is going to negate that 48 hours, or I've even got it approved in 24 hours before, is if we require income documentation. So, and that's normally the changeover from like you gathering it, giving it to me, and then they review it, right? A week out, if that's at most. That one had a lot of hiccups. That one was like they just would bring me like piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And then it was always, or then maybe it was the wrong documentation, or the underwriter asks for something else. So again, we know your time is valuable. We're not going to mess around, and we're not just going to say, oh, well, you can wait, which is a very frustrating thing. And we don't have to appraise anything. These aren't, we do offer secured products for like equipment loans and stuff like that, which are term loans, and you can pick your term there at a special rate. Like I think it's 7.99, or it was 7.9, might be 8.9, but you can go 3, 5, or 7 years for this tractor that you need to build. I can get you money into your account tomorrow, as long as everything goes smoothly.
Okay, so that 48 hours really is from the after the customer has gotten everything to you that you need. And that
Oh
and
yeah.
that's so that's important. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
that
Excellent.
involves me. So you come in and you apply. I ask you everything. Normally that takes, let's say that takes about an hour, hour and a half. Really go over the
Right.
questioning and how it works. Me trying to explain everything, or a lot of times over explain it because I want to make sure I get all this information where you leave again feeling educated and not wondering about, oh, this or that. I also try to negate the fact that people think this is a dumb question, so I answer a lot of the dumb questions before they can get it out because people don't like to answer dumb questions. People don't like to look stupid. I look stupid all the time, so don't even worry about it. But the biggest thing there is once I get it submitted, an underwriter gets assigned to that loan. Okay, so application is filled out. We do paper application, so it's just easier. So it's still that face-to-face talk, especially with the business owner. I sign it, I upload it, I get it submitted. The minute I get it submitted, an underwriter is assigned. If it's closer to the end of the day, they'll pick it up in the morning. But if I get it submitted, let's say like 2 o'clock, I'll probably get somebody assigned within that half hour. They'll do their initial review. And then there's a couple more steps they'll go and then that they'll have to do, and then they'll do their final review. I've again submitted these applications. I might have taken it at 1:30, fully submitted it into the system at 2, and I've got them approved before I left to work that day. It's just sometimes it's smoother than butter, and you don't even know how to explain it. Other times you're like, others, it very, very seldom at First Financial, but like I said, that week in our mind is like, oh my God, this is dragging on. But I tell that to everybody else, and they're like, it was a week. Like, yeah, I get it. Like you said, I had to wait 90 days. I had to wait a few months to get this stuff, and they wanted me to jump through so many hoops. But we don't want to waste your time. Like I am, we're realists. If we can help you, we're going to help you. If we can't, we're going to tell you we can't help you. And yeah, maybe that thing that Chase has that we don't have, that's going to benefit you way better than anything that I have. Because maybe later on you could come back to me and say, hey, I want you to do this for me. Take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves. So just looking out for you guys, especially in your time, is it's huge for us.
So
Right.
one of the
Thank you.
things with that I want to point out, because I used to be a mortgage loan officer, right?
Yeah.
And so all that processing and also did some things with the business lending. Um, when you're dealing with the some of the other competitors, because they are so large, they have centralized their underwriting, and a lot of times it's not here in Cincinnati. It's not even in Ohio. It's outside, so that's part of the reason why it takes longer. And when you deal with banks that have more of a culture of a regional or local feel to it, their underwriting is here. Um, there are some other institutions that are like that, and the experience is just totally different because it's almost like they feel accountable because they're here and they have to look at everybody and they have a reputation locally. So that's a difference in culture, but that is an advantage to potential advantage for business owners. Another question that we had from the audience is that as a newer business, what are some good potential trade lines to start with? And what are some strategies for attaining trade lines so they can start to build up their credit,
Yes.
their business
So
credit?
yeah, absolutely. So honestly, there is not a trade line that's going to build it faster. Any trade lines. The more trade lines you have, the faster you will build credit, though. That being said, so I have a lot of people, like, even again, for example, a credit card, right? You can take a credit card. When I start off somebody that, hey, they're 18, they're trying to build credit, I get them a secure credit card. All that is a credit card that it has collateral to it, normally about $300, right?
Hmm.
They think they need to go charge up the whole 300. They do not. They can put $1. They can go buy a candy bar at Speedway once a month, and I guarantee by the end of the 6 months they'll have close to a 700 score, or close to it. It might be like mid to low sixes, but and it blows their mind. But and that, I think that is the big mistake of people when they're trying to build their credit for their business is, yes, a credit card is going to be one of the easiest things for you to get approved for at first. Always go for the credit card. And then later on, we can try to do the BizFlex. I'm sorry, a BizFlex, or if I mentioned BizFlex, that's a business line of credit. That's just our term for it. So,
Okay.
so when you come in, hey, new business, this is what I want to do. I have great credit on this side, but I would like to, I have a 734 on my personal. I would like to apply for a business loan. Okay. And the biggest thing, what's going to, Do you have any annual revenue? No, I just started a little bit ago. Okay, well, we can apply for that for a credit card. It might be a small amount. Let's say you only get approved for $1,000. All right. Hey, better than nothing. And people think like, oh my God, I need a bigger amount because yeah, you might need that for your business purposes. But again, just charging $1 on this credit card once a month is going to set you far further with your business score and overall getting approved for things comparatively to just charging it up, spending it down, charging it up, spending it down. And which will do the same thing, but why spend $1,000 when you don't have to, or whatever that money is, unless you do need it. Credit cards are one of the easiest things to get approved for right off the bat. Business lines of credit, again, we still take gross annual revenue into factor, but business lines of credit, underwriters might say, well, that's just cash. What are they going to use for? What are they going to use it for? Credit card, you're going to buy, you're going to use it for daily spending, but a BizFlex or like an equipment loan or something like that, where it's like, hey, I'm going to use this to make my business better. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there's a reason they're doing this. Okay, hey, we couldn't get you applied for the or approved for the BizFlex, but I know you did want to buy that ice cream machine. So let's do a secured loan for this ice cream machine, and then we can get you approved that way because now there's collateral for this or whatever it is. If I can't get you approved, like I said, I do promise you. And some people get declined. Hey, they're a new business, whatever it is, and we kind of take a step back and we look. All right, this is why you were turned down. This is why you were declined. I know we're trying to go for the credit card, which is the easiest thing to do. But let's take a look at everything. Let's review your report. All right, let's review your overall business plan so we can see, okay, when you're actually going to start turning a profit on this thing, or whatever that is. And we just ask for gross annual profit. So again, yeah, we do look at your profit loss statements and stuff like that, but we take into factor your gross annual revenue. So even if like you brought in 600,000, but you lost money last year, I just need to see your annual revenue, not the fact that you did take that big of a loss. So I would say credit cards are going to be your best way. And that's just one of those things that I think every business owner should have. But at the time of conception of the business, and then you immediately go into a bank, again, if you get declined, you just being a client there is also going to help you get approved as well. Originally, at the beginning of my, me talking, I talked about an internal score. That is overall how you bank. Okay. So if you decide to, banks talk, all right, banks talk all the time. Oddly enough, we also don't talk. So there's a system that we use. It's called check systems. Okay. You have an internal score. Don't even ask me how it works. Nobody knows how this thing works. I promise you that much, but it is just one of those things that we know is a factor. We know the higher the number, the better. What goes into it exactly, we don't know.
So it's like credit scores.
Yeah, right. So playing a game, I don't know the rules to it. So it's just one of those things. So with that, it might, but what does I know goes into this is, do you overdraft your account? Do you use your account? How much do you have on deposit? How long has your relationship been here with us? Do you have mobile banking? Do you submit fraud claims all the time that somehow miraculously you forgot that you did and it was you? Certain things like that. So there are different ways and different factors and different things that we can look at from time to time. If like, hey, we can't get approved because of the gross annual revenue and your credit score, normally that's an immediate decline. If you got both, both are pretty bad. But again, if you have a great credit score, but you're just starting out for the gross annual, but you know what, hey, she's been a personal client of ours for whatever, I get to call the underwriters, and that's where I advocate for you guys. And I say, look, Stacy or whatever, who I'm talking to, this is what we need to do. I know of this. Maybe not this product. What other options do you think we can help them out with? And if it's actually we can lower the amount of money they're asking for to get them approved, or hey, we might have to jack the rate up just a little bit, or increase the rate just a little bit, whatever that is. Again, and then at that point, I take you the offer and I say, hey, this is what they're offering you. I know you wanted 50,000, but they're willing to do 10. Okay, how does that sound? And then we go from there. And then at that point, it might not be what you wanted, but hey, we've established something. You know what I mean? And this is that is the hardest step sometimes, is just getting established and moving forward at that point. But yeah, that's for the most part in a nutshell. I see you. There you go. Yep.
I was wondering, when you're talking about the loans, do you guys do SBA loans also? Is that part of the offerings that you guys have? And
yeah, so the SBA loans, we do that. I work everything $100,000 and under, right? This is why I love small businesses. All right. I do everything small business. If there's this huge corporate chain, which I have those clients, I can do all that stuff, but I don't want to. So I have somebody specifically for that. So she does the $100,000 plus stuff like that. I can't remember the exact dollar amount. That is something I could definitely get back, but whatever it is that we officially like, we'll have to go to the SBA to ask for that. So, for example, um, one of my clients who wanted to buy another piece of land had like a car wash on it. He wanted to put another gas station on there and then do like a better car wash and a dog washing company or something like that. I don't know. He was doing a lot, but it was a $900,000 plot of land. All right. I know we live in Cincinnati and everything is insanely expensive right now with the housing market, but $900,000 piece of land is outrageously big, right? That's huge. So we could have done that, but this is something we now go through the SBA. So when we go through the SBA, we're kind of tied by their guidelines at that point. So anything over that certain amount, it's not us, I promise. We're still advocating for you, but now it's not really in-house. So we're trying to advocate for you, but the SBA is the SBA. They just like anybody, they're going to do what they want to do. So that one's a little bit more in depth because again, you're asking for a lot more money. It's a lot more in depth into your tax returns and stuff like that. And those can take up to, like, again, you want $1 million loan. Those can take up to like 90 days, 900,000, whatever it is. That's just because the overall amount. But the stuff we normally work in with my SBM, my small business manager, same thing. Let's say if you ask for 150, which is something that she would do, or 250 or whatever that is. If she can do it, yeah, you probably get approved in 2 days, just about the same, unless they need income documentation and then that time for you to get it back and forth. That's really about it.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Is there any other questions or anything like that I can answer? Or there's a couple more things I can touch on for you guys if you'd like, or really just whatever you guys want to ask, by all means, please. I'm out. This is great.
Well, one of the things is just want to let the audience know, Johnny, of our conversations is that we will be planning on doing some workshops before the year is out around business credit and other financial literacy and banking kind of things so that you all can be looking out for that. And also with Ray. Ray, I would like for you just to kind of give experience of your first financial experience, right? Ray has been working with our team over the past year. He's taken our entrepreneurship training classes. So the next step was him to actually incorporate his nonprofit business. And so once he got his registration, his and then got his EIN. And then I said, okay, now it's time to go to a bank. And so he kind of vetted some banks just online, just looking around. And so we ended up with you guys and thought maybe he can give some feedback on what his experience was coming in as a new formal registered Ohio business.
Well, it felt like it was spiritual. Like when we just went to Johnny and he went in and just laid everything out and very detailed. And then he helped us out with a few different things because really I'm new to everything. And but yeah, he really everything that he said was the truth. And I'm looking forward to working throughout the years with him. And it just I don't know, everything he said, the 48 hours, him making it happen, and it just felt like it was they're really for the community, and they're really for you too as well. So I really prefer him and them, as the number one bank to go to.
Excellent, excellent.
And then, and Johnny, I was going to say, feel free to jump in any other topics that you want to touch on. We still have about 5 more minutes.
Yeah,
and Ambrose had something to say as well.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to get in there because we do for our CED Office Hour Live, we do cut it off at that hour. So my question is, will you come back? Amber was talking about us having some other type sessions, or maybe some in-person sessions as well, because like I said, you answered a lot of questions that I wrote down, and you, like I said, you answered them before I even got a chance to ask them. And um, I just think that there's a lot more to be said, to be discussed and addressed, and a lot more benefit to the business community. Because there's a lot of scenarios that I think we need to sort of get into, like the type of businesses, the agricultural businesses versus the general businesses. When you talk about the startups, how really does that work when they are coming in and they don't have the revenue, so they may have just their credit score and zero revenue, what kinds of things can be done there. So yeah, you gonna come back?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had a great time so far, guys. I love, again, I have a passion for this stuff. Like I said, my I remember my wife actually works for Paycor, which is a payroll company here in Cincinnati, and she used to work for Target prior, and not a big fan of it. But when it came to like finance and everything, again, she's still in that same wheelhouse. She more manages people, and specifically on that aspect. But she works with business owners as well every single day. And she would always hear me talk about, like, I got to help there was one of my clients that was 80 years old one time. She wanted her son-in-law and her daughter, they wanted to buy her house, fix it up, let her live there and do all this stuff, but she wanted to do something to pay them back, and she didn't have the money. Or she did have the money, but she didn't want to use all of it. So we were able to figure something out like that and actually provide this type of help that she asked for. And it took a long time, but we did it. And that made me very, very happy. And just to see her smile, and I still talk to her to this day. She invites me over all the time for dinner. Eventually, I am going to have to go to dinner, but it's one of those things of I do get to make people's dreams come true. So I know I talk a lot. I probably talk a million miles a minute, is what my wife says, but this is something I'm passionate for. And I take it personally when you come into my office and you say, "Hey, I want to start a business." I go, "Yes, we will. Absolutely. We're going to do this." And actually, believe it or not, he's one of my clients. I think he wouldn't mind. Onalicious. It's a Hawaiian joint down there. He's a good friend of mine in Cincinnati. I started his account. I helped him with everything, and we did the whole nine. And it was a long thing coming when he was during COVID and stuff like that, to make sure that he kept his head in the game. And it was very stressful for myself as well. But we did it. And now he's got a prime location downtown, right on Vine or right off of Main or whatever it is. I can't remember, but it's things like that. He always wanted to open a restaurant, and I got to help him do that. So. But yes, I would love to come back. There are so many different things. We could even talk about the certain point where you get big enough to where we can invest your money now. So, yeah, there's a lot of things we can still continue to discuss.
So let's just plan on us setting up a meeting, and then we can kind of map out for the whole year. So we can just map out stuff for the whole year. I want to thank again Ray and Danielle and Tanya for joining us, who are all business owners, actually. Ray's business he has a nonprofit and a for-profit side. So he's setting, as you know, up as a social enterprise. And he's dealing with STEM education, music, and teaching people the production, the business side of music, right? Not just teaching them how to play an instrument, although he's a music prodigy himself. And so, he's used to doing gigs and all of that. And I said, no, you need to formalize that business. So that's why he came to our entrepreneur toolkit and our 4-page business plan. And I've been his accountability partner to make sure he stays on track. So he's doing a good job. You got an A so far, Ray. Danielle, she owns a travel agency. And so she is a certified, she just recently got her certification as a travel agent. And as she's been in this capacity building mode, and she wants to make sure that it's structured right and it's managed growth. Tanya owns an online retail store. It's called Style and Grace Consulting. Danielle is Journeys Unlimited, and Ray's is Our World Entertainment, a play on his name Ray, and saying Our World. And then Institute, I'm sorry, is the nonprofit, and entertainment is the for-profit side. So they all are coming from different entities, but they are leveraging family and friends as their warm market, all those kind of things. And now they're ready to really increase their footprint. So they want to make sure that it's structured right. So I think as we plan out, other for you to come back on CED Office Hour Live and the in-person workshops, then those will be some things kind of brainstorm around because that is a lot of our businesses where they kind of started out mom and pop just did it, especially during COVID. And now it's like, okay, it's time to expand and we need to do it the right way. So, are there any comments from the audience from Ray, Danielle, or Tanya? Okay. Um, Johnny, do you have any closing comments, words of encouragement? And then we'll close out this.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate it. So again, real quick, like I said, you guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns for me regarding, you can by all means email me. I know Amber has all my stuff. You can reach out to her to get my office under my email. But my email is just it's my name, so JOHNNY.Reynolds REYNOLDS @bank@first.com. Email me anything. There is no stupid question. I ask 40 of them a day. So don't feel bad about it. I haven't heard some doozies in a while. And then all these businesses, especially the ones that that you guys are in, I work with all of them as well. So it's not my first rodeo there. Probably the craziest business I've ever worked with, and it was probably the funniest. He was a ping pong coach. And he made a lot of money doing it. So, and I can't say one way or another, like that's a thing. He made a lot of money doing it. To the point I started to question my career choices. But yes, whatever you guys need, any questions, comments, concerns, I'm always here to help you. This is what I do. Please, it keeps me entertained and busy during the day, as busy as I am. But I will always make sure that I make time for you guys. But yes, I will definitely be back as well.
Ambrose, do you have any closing comments?
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I look forward to our future meetings.
Well, this concludes our January 25th edition of CED Office Hour Live, where we talked about building banking relationships and kind of jump started the conversation on some small business loan tips. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to continuing this relationship and continuing to connect the small businesses to the resources so they can thrive and sustain. Thank you.
All right, buddy.